But I would do want to get your thoughts on one last thing, and it's a pretty common question, but I want to hear your take on it. And this is, I feel like a thought for a lot of people have. Let's say I'm a family member, and I'm not necessarily struggling with mental health stuff as much, but I know that somebody else in my family is, whether it's a sibling, a parent, a child, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, you name it. I think oftentimes people feel like I would love to help. I would love to say something, but I'm not exactly sure how to bring up the conversation. And obviously it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, because somebody, if you ask them a certain question, maybe they'll react a different way than somebody else. But what is your advice to people who are a family member or a close friend of somebody who they feel like is experiencing some mental health issues, for how you can navigate that situation and how you can bring up conversations so that people feel like they have actual support in their journey?
Well, I think that, as in the analogy of the plane, where the flight attendant says, put your own mask on first before helping others, right? Because you're not going to be of any help to others if you're in your own head suffering. Because frankly, these are family illnesses. So if someone's suffering, everybody in the family is suffering. And we get into our reactive brains where, our amygdala is like, shouting in their head at these people for not changing, and, getting all anxious and uptight and worried, and, putting their own mental health in jeopardy because they're trying to control an illness that's not controllable through their intervention. And so they have to learn about how to help self-regulate themselves. Now, that's not being selfish. They're going to be more helpful to their loved one if they're in a place where their loved one, believe me, will have eyes on them and know whether they're doing something that they want a part of. Like the best, pain and love are our best disciplinarians. Pain because they gets us to the realization we need to change, and love because it moves us to want to get something that we want more of. And so the experience of someone who is solid, in my experience, I am gravitating towards those people because I want what they have. And so if people are models, and we all have to understand this in our lives, we are the model for people around us, and people are pick up on the little things. So if we're healthier, if we're more engaged, if we're more centered and connected, believe me, we're going to attract people because people want that. And if you're sick, you're going to see that. So you're going to be more open to this person who's your loved one, maybe asking for help. You're not going to have to go to them and say, what can I do to help you, per se? Ideally, you're going to in a place, if you're working on yourself, where they're going to say, can you help me? Because they're going to see the light in you, and they're going to know you got some stability that they're going to want. And when they ask for help, that's when you need to move. And my whole life is trying to get insurance companies to pay for care when someone needs help. And that's why I wrote the Mental Health Parity and Addiction Equity Act, which was signed into law in 2008. And I've worked ever since to try to get it enforced, because we only have a moment when people are asking for help to really get them and then start to turn their lives around, because these diseases come right back with a vengeance. And tomorrow, you're not going to feel the same way about whatever that was when you had a moment where, like, I do want to change. I do want to get off this terrible track, and I want to get into something different. So, but listen, Nick, this has been fantastic. I love what you do to try to change people and their ideas of health overall. And I'm so grateful you're focused on mental health as part of your, kind of education to those that you're interested in reaching about the importance of overall health. So really been a thrill to be with you.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's been a thrill to be with you as well. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I know a lot of people have as well. You guys need to make sure you go get this book, Profiles in Mental Health Courage. Again, it's a tough read from the standpoint of hearing people's stories and what a lot of people have had to deal with, but it's so insightful, and it's going to leave you both empathetic and passionate about this topic. And if you're somebody who is dealing with something, it's going to feel like you have some camaraderie, like you're not alone in this scenario. So Profiles in Mental Health Courage, go grab it today. We'll have that in the show notes. You can also go to his website, patrickjkennedy.net, to learn more about him and all the things that he's got going on. But where else should people go to learn more about you and support all this work that you're doing?
So the Kennedy Forum, named for when my uncle signed the Community Mental Health Act. That's when I started this, the 50th anniversary. And the idea is to how do we build an advocacy movement commensurate with the demands that our country has today to really improve its mental health. And if you're an NRA member, if you're a labor union member, if you're a Chamber of Commerce member, you all know that there's organization if you want to be effective. We're not organized in our space. That's what I'm trying to work on doing. So it's going to be a long-term effort. So if people are interested, I look forward to working with them. I work with all of my colleagues in NAMI, Mental Health America, Active Minds, both APAs. There's a lot of folks out there, but this is just still the beginning of a movement. So please be involved. This doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a psychologist, a mental health, someone who's in recovery to care about this. All of us have a stake in it.
I love it. I love it. It's only going to continue to be more important. And like you said, it's also not just the negative side of things. It can also be a force multiplier. And when people really realize that it can be a force multiplier, whether you're a Green Beret or just a stay-at-home mom, not just a stay-at-home mom, but you know what I mean. No matter where you are with regards to what you do, it can be a force multiplier. So you guys need to make sure you go grab the book. You need to make sure you go look more into Patrick Kennedy's work. And if you're listening on the Apple Podcast app or on Spotify, make sure you hit the follow button so you are notified of the new episodes coming out. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit like and subscribe below. And also, if you got something from today's episode, share this episode with a friend or family member so you can help spread the education around the topic of mental health and mental illness, because that is the journey that we all need to continue to be on, to educate more so we can all be more empathetic to ourselves and to others who are navigating their mental health journey. But Patrick, that's all we got today, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Nick. Have a great one.
You too.